the Digital Babble with your host, Flipper. Colorful commentary on your photography. Seen on fingerlakes1.com.
Hey everybody, how y'all doing this week? It's the Digital Babble here on Finger Lakes One, fingerlakes1.com, fingerlakes1.tv, and we're a computer. Yeah, I'm going to start off with the wrong intro, right? We're a photography and Photoshop talk show. It's kind of educational. We talk about different things that you can do in photography, different techniques, different things in general. We can troubleshoot your photos. We can help you along with your equipment. Eventually we're going to get to reviews and stuff, hopefully. Working on getting a green screen set up so that we can do short review videos for everybody, and that'll be coming soon. So this is the Digital Babble. I'm your host, Flipper. I'm a local photographer. I do weddings, I do portraits, still life, and just plain old goofing around. So this week, I want to talk a little bit about what we call creative vision, or developing your creative eye when working in photography. A lot of people have asked me, well, how did you come up with this idea for this shot? Or how did you come up with the idea for that shot? Or how did you see this? I didn't see that when we were walking around, or whatever. Okay. And one of the things with creative vision that you have to understand is that creative vision starts with the basics of photography. Okay. And what I mean by that is understanding what aperture does, what shutter speed does, what ISO does, what your lenses do. So, quick overview of each one, real quick, just simple little, definition of each one. So shutter speed, okay? If we picture exposure is filling a glass of water with water. So you got a bottle or a glass and you're filling it with a spigot. So you open up the spigot, you close the spigot. The exposure is how much water goes into the container, okay? So exposure is how long that spigot is open. Okay, so if it's for a half a second, a whole second, or 1/200th of a second, that is shutter speed, is the opening and closing to allow light in and out. Okay, aperture is the opening or closing of the actual iris in the lens. So it's like the iris of your eyes. Or the pupils, the iris is to open and close the pupils. The pupil is really the f-stop, or the aperture. So that's basically how open you turn the faucet. So is it really wide open, or if it's just trickling? So that defines your relationship between shutter and aperture. Now, one of the features with shutter and aperture that you really have to keep in mind is the faster the shutter speed, the sharper the picture is going to look when hand holding. So like saying if you're taking football shots or whatever, you're trying to freeze motion. So the faster the shutter speed, the more you freeze the motion. And it also gives you the ability to freeze motion of faster moving objects. And you can make things blurry. So like saying you're sitting still with the camera and a car comes by and you have a long exposure or long shutter speed, the car will look blurry. So keeping all these little things in mind, we kind of bring to the table this creative vision. So aperture, one of the other features that it controls is depth of field. So what looks sharp here and what looks sharp here. Depth of field, so maybe this is all it's sharp if you have a wide open aperture, so like an f2.8, or this is what's clear or acceptably sharp at f11. Okay, so that's something else to keep in mind when you're working with developing this creative vision. So ISO, what's the next thing on the list? ISO basically gives you the speed that the camera can, instead of like that glass and faucet thing, the glass is not as tall for exposure. It shrinks the glass proportionally. So it takes less time to fill the glass. So that's basically what ISO is. And that's your relationship. And that's the triad between your shutter, ISO, and aperture is how we get exposure. Okay. Now, thinking creatively and getting outside the box. So here's the science behind it. Let's get rid of the science. Now let's start talking about creative vision. And how do we develop creative vision? So how do we start learning to see creatively? Well, one of the big things that we can do is we can experiment with our equipment. So whether you got an iPhone or an iPad or an Android device or a point and shoot or an SLR or even a video camera. I mean, a lot of these things can, also be applied to video cameras as well. What you do is you start taking little baby steps and you do different exercises to develop this creative vision. And learning to see the world as the camera sees it. And I think in like episode 1 and 3 and 7, I basically introduce you to creative vision as we're going through the episode, but I don't really define it. So this show, I'm going to really define it, and then I'm going to give you some really good exercises to start developing that creative vision, seeing the world from a different standpoint. The mundane world around you, your everyday life, all of a sudden things aren't so normal anymore. You can actually look at some pretty much anything in your house and all of a sudden turn it from being the normal into the abnormal, from the uninteresting to the wow, look at that's interesting. And that's creative vision, is taking your everyday world and turning it on its head creatively, visually, through photography or videography or whatever. So how do we start? We start with grabbing our camera, okay, and we learn about the camera. So always first best step, get a quick guide on your camera or read the instructions. For all you guys out there, I know this sounds stereotypical, but I'm going to say it anyway. For all you guys out there, make sure to read your instruction manual. But learning what your camera does and how it does it. So like right now, I'm going to take a picture of my computer screen. And I look at my settings. I say, okay, that was taken at f/130th at f/3.5, and it was a still shot, and it's kind of interesting, but it was wide open. So I was at like 15 millimeters, so it kind of was a little distorted. Okay. So next thing you kind of do is you kind of start looking at your camera and go, well, let's see what it does. Let's see. Okay, so how much zoom range do I got? So then you zoom it in and kind of take a look and go, well, that's what that looks like. Neat. Okay, now zoom it out. Okay, that's kind of neat. Okay, zoom it halfway. Oh, I can get a different picture each way. So learning to change the angle of attack. So taking a high picture or a low picture or a side-to-side picture, or if you got one of these neat cameras, these neat point and shoots or SLRs that got the little flip screen, like so, where you can actually take and look at different pieces, or look at it from different angles and flip it around a corner so you can take a picture around the corner. So you'll do this. I'm actually seeing what's around the corner for me. So it's kind of neat to get kind of creative and start learning the camera this way. Start looking at the camera in a different way. Look at it as a person. How does this person view the world around it? And you start to see a totally different world through this lens. Whether it's this lens or a cell phone lens or whatever lens or whatever capturing device you're using. You learn how the device sees the world. You can then use the device to capture your world and capture it in ways that you probably never thought possible. Capture it in ways that can be very interesting and very different. You can capture it in ways that brings to life the normal everyday things and turns them into pieces of artwork. Now, I'm not going to say that you shouldn't try to look at, things like, different art concepts like composition, three-dimensional on two-dimensional techniques. I mean, you could always use those because instead of drawing what you see, Instead of painting what you see, you have to capture what you see. And that's one of the things that I don't think people understand about photography. It's not that we make something out of nothing, especially if you're shooting straight from the camera right into the print or whatever. You are capturing something from a particular viewpoint, from a particular angle, from a particular lighting situation. You're capturing it. You're grabbing it. You're seeing it. You're adjusting your angle of view, your composition, but you're capturing it. You're not actually drawing it. It's not like you're going, oh, I think that's what it looked like. Yeah, so, oh, there was a little tree here. I mean, let's sound like Bob Ross for a second. I love Bob Ross. I watched his show for years. The joy of painting. If you ever get a chance, go watch the old reruns on PBS. If not, go on YouTube. There's plenty of them. But his whole style of seeing creatively in the mind and imagining what you see and then painting it, which is the capture media, is the same methodology that you can use to capture photography in really interesting ways. So seeing creatively, getting creative vision, or seeing creatively is really the next step for a lot of photographers, going from snapshots and memory photos to making interesting pieces. Whether it's considered art or not, who cares? But it's art to you. It's something that you might want to hang up on the wall, or something that you want to see all the time, or maybe something you want to put on your Facebook page, or maybe you want to share with the world on Finger Lakes One on the photo page. That is where it comes into play, is bringing your own style, talent, your own creative eye into your work. So that is what creative vision is bringing a touch of your soul into your work and then creating something out of it. So how do we develop the vision? How do we develop creative vision? What are some good exercises that we can do to develop this creative vision in a healthy and very quick way? So let's start with some basics. Read the manual. That's first off, right? Because if you don't know how your camera works, it's going to be hard to develop any other type of creative vision, because you're going to be frustrated. You're never going to know what knob A does and dial B does, okay? Or if you're working with an iPhone or an iPad, you're not going to know what setting 1 and setting 2 and setting 3 do, but yeah, whatever, just push buttons until I get something. Learn the device. Learn it to a point that you can kind of remember most of the functions in a general way. You don't have to learn everything. You don't have to be like super detailed, but just get a good comprehension of what it does. Okay? So reading the manual, learning the device. Okay? We can then once we learn the device, learn your lenses. If you got SLRs and you got interchangeable lenses, learn what your lenses do. Learn what a wide angle looks like. Learn what a narrow field of view looks like. Take and look at examples. So speaking of examples, let's get some examples going up here on the board here. So let's grab the very first example I got here. This was done at lunchtime, and I just wanted to show you a few different like snapshots, and it's really snapshots. I actually had my lunch on the table. You can see it there in the middle picture. I was having a couple slices of cold pizza and a glass of milk. Shot this in my kitchen. Literally just set it up, and I said, oh, okay, let's just take Mr. Woody and Mr. Woody Jr., and we'll put him on the countertop here, and we'll play around with creative vision. See what I can get just by having these two guys sit here. So I put one, made him look like he was walking like an Egyptian, and the other one was kind of waving high in the background. I'm like, okay, well, what can we do with this? You know, so I just took the far left is just taking a wide angle shot of everything. So that's just a snapshot. Boom, here it is. No real creativeness to it. Just here's what I see. Here's what the camera sees. Merry Christmas, okay? The middle picture is where we start getting a little more creative. I'm like, oh, look, his hands kind of line up. If I move the camera just right, his hands kind of line up like he's holding him, like a little statuette. Oh, let's get creative. Let's make it look like the final picture, which is he's holding him. He's holding the big man. So the large Woody is in the background, and the small Woody is in the foreground, and it's kind of an optical illusion in a sense. and one's holding the other. The smaller one's holding the larger one. So we got creative. We did this whole experiment in a matter of 5 minutes, and we got creative with it. And now I know what my camera can do. I know that I can line things up and change things and move things around and do things. I never touched the mannequins. Once I put the mannequins down on the table, I didn't touch them. They are in the same position in each picture. I'm just changing my point of view. I'm changing my creative vision to get what I want out of it. And that's creative vision. And that's taking yourself out of the box of being technical. It's kind of like a musician player. I've heard this analogy so many times. Any type of creative flowing thought process, such as music, art, drawing, painting, sculpting, photography. Let's see, what else is there? Pick an art. Doesn't matter what art, pick an art, okay? By the end of the day, when you stop being in the box, you've already learned the technical piece, so you learned what's in the box. Now you can explore outside the box, and now you get into developing little pieces here and there of knowledge that you can use in your toolbox to create the image that you think you see, or that you saw, or maybe that you want to see. And that's the whole thing. Creative vision is answering the question, what if? So, what's another project that we can do? Okay. Well, actually, we'll get to projects in a minute. What's another example? Okay. So let's grab another example with Woody 1 and Woody 2. So we got the little Woody on the right and big Woody on the left, okay? Here's where we're talking about experimenting with your lenses. Why experiment with your lenses? Why figure out what each lens looks like when you take a shot? Because it changes the picture drastically. And here's my point. The shot on the left here is shot wide angle. It is totally wide angle, wide open with my little point and shoot I showed you. And you can see here we got the calendar, we got the door, we got the ceiling up here a little bit. We got a lot of marble down here. But all in all, we've got those elements in there. I backed up, literally just took about 3 steps back, zoomed all the way in, and I got the shot on the right. It's the same compositional shot for the most part. It's both of them posed the same way. I changed the angle of view just a little bit because I had backed up into my refrigerator. I didn't quite have enough room to back up where I needed to be, so I had to raise it just ever so slightly, okay? The calendar is missing right here. The calendar would have, if it was wide angle still, the calendar would have sat right here in this little red box, okay? Light switch moved up here. You can see the light switch moved up here. But notice there's no door. Notice in this picture on the left, the door goes right by the little guy's arm. On the right, there is no door. Ooh, it saw it differently. And it saw it drastically different because of the zoom we used, because of the lens we used. Look again without any markings. What is different about these two pictures? The only thing different, literally, in these two pictures is I changed the zoom length on my lens. That was it. And backed up to get the longer zoom to give me the same composition. That was it. So the one on the left is wide angle. My camera's right on top of them. You can see how everything kind of falls in and is fairly close to each other and so on and so forth. And then when I backed up and zoomed in, it narrowed my field of view, isolating my subjects, my two mannequins there, and I eliminated the door, the calendar, the ceiling, all in one fell sweep. Boom, done. One shot, one change. And that's about what you got to get in your head is how does your camera, how does your iPhone, how does your device see the world? Like I know right now, my webcams that I use to produce a show and I produce Tech Talk on the weekends, only see one focal length. That's it. There's no moving parts in these lenses. So pretty much here it is. This is what you see. This is what you get, okay? So you can change your perspective by changing your angle, your move in and move out. You can do whatever. But by the end of the day, the angle of view never changes. Never, okay? On a zoom lens, or when you change lenses from being wide angle to narrow or to telephoto, you get different effects like this one. Like I said, this one is really a drastic effect. You see wide angle, you get everything on the left, and then on the right, you only get the subject. And that's what you need to learn. And that's what the whole idea about getting creative with, and learning how to get that creative thought process rolling when you are working on a project or working in a situation. Have you ever thought about doing senior portraits? Have you ever thought about doing weddings? Did you ever think about doing art prints? Did you ever think about just having fun with photography? It's work. I'm going to tell you, it's work. You know, you're not just going to walk out there and click a button and go. You can learn so much. It's just like music. You can start learning a little bit, and then a little bit more, and a little bit more, and it never ends. There's always something else. But developing this creative vision is always an ongoing thing. And you learn how each lens in your toolkit, if you got multiple lenses, or how your point and shoots, if you have multiple point and shoots or just one point and shoot, or how your phone with different attachments all see the world differently. And you learn what that vision is, what they're seeing. And once you learn that and you run experiment after experiment and say, okay, I want to try it this way, and then I want to try it this way. Shoot the same subject, wide angle, shoot it narrow. You know, go telephoto. Change your perspective. Do whatever you got to do, but then think about and remember each picture. What did you change in your settings? What did you change in your position? What did you change with the focal length? What did you change wherever? And it gets you from point A to point B very quickly, very quickly. But experimentation is the key here, okay? Let's get to another example. Let's see, number 3 here. The Running Man. Again, learning what the camera sees at different focal lengths. Here is, on the left is wide angle. You notice you can see my toaster, you can see the door, almost the whole door, the ceiling, some cupboards, and a nice reflection, and you know, they're kind of almost touching hands and so on and so forth. I backed up and zoomed in and got the picture on the right. Notice the total difference in the picture. You're not taking and just cropping the other picture down. You're changing the composition. You're actually changing the final picture by changing your focal length, okay? Learning how the color temperature changes and how it sees light at those lengths, okay? So like on the wide angle, it sucks in a lot more light, a lot easier. You can see that I got a little bit of hot spot on the Woody Jr., he's a little, you know, his bald head on the top there is kind of like my bald head on the show. It kind of reflects the light. So yeah, it's a little over bright, and it's really, really white. You go and you look at the photo on the left, or right, sorry, got to know my left from my rights, right? So the one on the right, I zoomed in. Notice the color change and the color temperature change in both mannequins. They're a little bit warmer. I didn't change any settings other than zooming in, and that's all I did here. And look at the color changes. You got a little bit more warmer color in everything. It doesn't have as much data to try to correct color temperature when you zoom in. So there's another little tip, little hint, whatever. So when you have more area or more wider angle to suck in more light, the processor has the ability to then correct for color change or color shift. When you telephoto, a lot of times it doesn't get enough data to make a good judgment call. Well, it'll do good, but it won't do great judgment call on what the actual color temperature is supposed to be for this photo. So I've seen that happen with a lot of point and shoots. I've definitely seen it happen with iPhones. Oh, dear God, iPhones and their color temperatures are fun. Just fun. Android devices, same way. But really, by the end of the day, experiment. Go down to Walmart. I mean, really, by the end of the day, you can go down to Walmart right now in the craft section and buy, I don't think it's this big. I don't think it's Big Woody, but it's probably Little Woody. So here's Big Woody, here's Little Woody. I like to play with dolls. Hey guys, what's up? Hey, whatever. Right? Anyhow. So you can go buy one of these and just go experiment. You can do portrait work and learn portraiture from little wooden dolls. Literally, you can apply the same techniques that people that draw, people that paint, you can basically learn how to paint and draw with light and taking a photo. And that's what these are great for. I love them because they make, great experimentals. They don't complain when you pose them. Geez, I can't put my arm like that flipper anymore. Oh my God, that hurts. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. Don't have to worry about dealing with people at that point. You can just kind of go and have some fun just by yourself. Nice little, okay, I shot like this, and I shot it like that, and then I shot it like this. And I tried it from this angle, I tried it from that angle, and that's what I got. And then you start reviewing the pictures, and you go, wow, look at all the differences that I have here. Oh, this is neat. And then you start learning, and it's just like learning a new language. It's just like learning art. It's just like learning drawing. It's just like learning anything. You take a little bit at a time. And how do you eat an elephant? You eat it one forkful at a time. Same concept here. How do you learn photography? One forkful at a time. And that's really the case. I'm always learning myself. I always learn something new every day. I see something different. Oh, that lighting over there would be great for this. Whoa. So keep that thirst for knowledge. Keep that thirst for being creative, get out there and shoot. Here again is another good example of compositional changes and, the whole lens length and the color shift. Everybody's saluting. Hey, 10-4, good buddy. All right, great. Probably saluting with the wrong hand, aren't they? Yes, they are. They did their left. It's supposed to be the right. I'll have to have a talk with the Woodies just to make sure that they do it right next time. But by the end of the day, really, you look at this and you go, okay, well, what's really different? You look at the composition. You look at, I tilted the camera slightly different. I zoomed in. I got rid of a lot of the door. I got rid of a lot of... another thing about zooming in and low aperture or wide open aperture is that you blur the background more. Notice in the wide angle, you can pretty much see the detail nice and clear. It's sharp. The hinges are sharp, so on and so forth. Now you look at the one on the right, which is the telephoto. You notice things are blurred out in the background a touch. The frame for the window is a little blurred, and the hinge behind the guy's hand there is blurred. So you start learning all these little different features about, when does it blur? When does a color shift? When does it do this? And then you start exploiting that. I know all you listeners out there love the word exploit, so we'll say exploiting that to become better at or taking better photos. I'm such a blowhard, and I'm going to keep harping on it, ain't I? Yes, I am. Let's see. We're up to example number 5. This one I had a ball with. I thought this was great just to give you an idea of what you see can be deceiving in the sense that you can see multiple shots out of the same normal everyday thing. So here, the middle picture is the wide angle shot taken as is. I got one of the guys kind of going, hey, who's that over there? And then the other guy is just kind of sitting up front going, hey, I'm here, right? And that's my portrait. So the one's photobombing the other, okay? We'll call it that. So I said, well, okay, maybe I want to isolate Woody number 1, the big Woody, and we'll do a Facebook pose. So that's the photo on the left. So we'll change the angle, zoom it in a little bit, and you get the kind of the shot on the left. And then I said, well, we could always make the saluting mini Woody blurred out, and we could use him as part of the telling the story of the Woodies. Wow, this is getting weird. I'm talking about Woodies and wood dolls and how to use them in composition. That's just totally weird to me. So anyhow, the photo on the right is a totally another compositional shot. And I know I cut them off on the left and the right a little bit, but you get the idea. is that you can find multiple shots in almost any normal everyday situation without moving a thing. You can just go and view it and then take the picture. And just take the picture. Just get out there, take the picture, learn your camera, read your instructions, get out there and do something with it, and have fun with it, I was talking with some philosophical people the other day about different things, and one of the philosophical debates was is still photography dead? I don't think it's dead. I think it's definitely a change. Still photography, I still think, has a big role to play. I don't think they haven't gotten rid of it, because videography isn't the end-all be-all either, and that's not going anywhere. I think really the industries have changed a bit. You have your semi-pros and pros that are out there doing work like weddings and portraits and so on and so forth. They're still relevant to a certain degree because they bring their own unique style, their own unique vision to your event or somebody else's event or whatever. But the bigger thing is a lot of people are like, well, we went digital, now there's no need for film. Well, you're right, there is no need for film. I liked film. I still do like film because there's this kind of creative process of just developing film. But we're in digital now. Okay, fine, we're in digital. Does that mean that photography is just going to go away? No, it's going to mean that we changed our style a little bit more. We're going to learn more. We're going to take it the next step. You look at Ansel Adams stuff back here in, the 1970s and the 80s, whatever it was. Then you look at some of the newer photographers that have come up through, the next generation of photographers, and you see their same shots, or they're shooting the same locations, but you see the difference in vision. And you see the difference in creative vision. And I'm going to wait for that perfect light in the morning. Boom, there it is. Take the picture. All right, got it. And that's really how everybody really comes out and really separates themselves from each other, I suppose, is that creative vision gives us that ability to tell the story of the day, or the story at the situation, or whatever, the story of the wedding day, with our own creative vision. Now, like between me and Mike, my partner that does weddings, with me, he does a wonderful job in finding the sports action kind of shots during weddings. And he creates them too. It's so amazing. I gotta give Mike a ton of credit, because out of nowhere he'll just be like, okay, all you girls but the bride, jump up, and I want you to do me a peace sign at the same time. Okay, he sets his camera up to be like a sports photo kind of setting, a little faster shutter speed, a little less aperture. 1, 2, 3, jump. And at the peak of everybody jumping, he fires the shot, and then he takes a look at it, and he looks at, do I like it? Do I not like it? Okay, we got to change a few things here. Do it up, and he does it. Okay. Me, I will have like 6 or 7 ideas rolling around in my head, because throughout the entire ceremony, I'm kind of watching everybody, and I'm looking for features, and how can I exploit the camera to make interesting shots for the bride and groom. So my creative vision starts way before we even get to the part of doing the formals or the funny pictures. I remember one time we were talking with one bride. It was really fun to photograph this couple, because they were all kind of country, that kind of southern Mississippi country, but with a New York accent. They really had the country boy and country girl, Kentucky style. Dirt roads, pickup trucks, riding horses, slinging guns, really had that country feel to all of them. They really weren't so metro, per se, except for one of them. One of them was so metro, you could say he was like the Justin Timberlake of the group, and he was just totally out there, and it was so weird to see the oddball in the whole situation. Now, throughout the entire day, taking pictures of these people, talking to them and learning them and finding things, all of a sudden you start putting these pieces together, and you start developing this puzzle, this jigsaw puzzle of a final output of a picture. Well, I remember the bride saying, I'll drink y'all under the table if I have to, find a way to do it, take it, eat bread, I don't care, I'll do it, I'll drink y'all under the table, right? And one of my favorite shots, and you can go check it out on Photography by Flipper, it is one of my favorite shots. I wish I could remember the bride's name and that, but it was so funny. We posed it up, and I was putting everything together, and I put Justin Timberlake right at the base of the stool, and we're all at the bar, and he's right at the base of the stool, passed out with his glasses half hanging off his face, kind of crooked, and holding a beer bottle, or kind of hugging a beer bottle, like he was like trying to hold on to it like a little child. One of the other guys was in one of the other bar stools, kind of half out, laying on the bar. Another one was laying up against the thing. And it was just such a funny storytelling. And it meant so much to that couple, but it probably doesn't mean much to many other couples. And that's creative vision. That's seeing and piecing together a creative piece out of nothing, or nothingness. You find pieces and stick them together, and it's so exciting. And everybody wonders why I get so excited about this, because it's exciting to go from nothing to something, philosophically. It's almost like, what's the term that everybody uses? It's, I don't know. It's like the discovery of whatever, like discovery of the new world. And it's like, hey, look what I found. This is great. It's just like with music. If you're a musician, if you play guitar, if you play piano, and if all you do is play other people's music and you just play it, okay, that's fulfilling, I suppose. But when you start adding your own touches to it, when you start writing your own, it goes from being the norm and the everyday per se to like, wow, look, I can hold it, I can touch it, I can put it together, I can play it, It's the same thing with photography. It's the same thing with anything creative. And I think that's one of the things that, I'm so afraid that our schools and especially our high schools, because I don't think we nurture it as much as we used to. I really think that's one, it's almost like a dying form. Art's kind of like dying in a sense, because we don't have people really. It's only the select few that get into it, and then they stay in it, and it's just, and that's part of the reason why I do the show, is because I want to inspire everybody to find something creative. And if it happens to be photography and you like the show and you keep watching the show and you get something out of it, I'm happy. Okay. I'm very happy. I love it when people come up and say, hey, I watched your show the other day. Oh my God, I never thought of using it like that. Or I never thought of doing this, or I never thought of doing that. And that's the thrill for me, because that's exactly what the same type of thrill I get from creating these shows, creating a review video or creating whatever. I get to make something out of nothing. I can take the brainchild, the imagination, and let it go wild and put pieces together and put this here and stick that there and put that over here and then put it all together and hand it to somebody and go, here, I made this. Granted, we don't nurture it as well as we should, like we used to. I remember being on the radio days and stuff like that. It was a lot different. You didn't have to worry about video. You didn't have to worry about producing everything all at once. You could just get on and go, and then you had timing marks, so you had breaks, so you could take a little break, recollect your thoughts. You don't get the break here, so it's really neat to take and kind of put these things together, and back then we nurtured it because people would, email you or get on your website or and be like, hey, I listened to your show, that was great, or oh, I hated your comment about this, blah, 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 blah. And it just made it so that you knew people were alive out there. And that's why I'm going to say this next thing. I want you, if you're watching the show, don't be shy. Don't be bashful. I'm not going to bash anybody or whatever. Send me your photos. Give me up to 3 smaller size JPEGs. Don't go too small, but 1,000 pixels by 1,000 pixels. Send them into thedigitalbabble@gmail.com. I'll take them in Photoshop. I'll review them. I'll say, hey, I liked what you did here, but I don't like what you did here. I think maybe you could have changed this. Maybe you needed better exposure. Maybe you needed a filter. I can troubleshoot your photos for you. I can take them into Photoshop and I can fix them, which is what you're going to see here in a minute. We're going to do a little bit in Photoshop, maybe last 5-10 minutes of the show. Just do something real quick, because I have this cute little Halloween thing for Jakey that B actually put together. She grabbed the camera and took a picture because he was just so perfectly posed with, well, you'll see. But here's what you can do to develop that creative Here's exercises. Here's things that you can create and do to help develop that creative image or vision. Creative vision. You can create and do this. First thing, one of my favorite photo projects to do, themed photos. Literally, you pick a theme for the week. I'm going to shoot roses. All week, I'm going to shoot roses. I don't care what roses. I'm going to shoot roses all week. Let me switch to just me here. I'm going to shoot roses all week. I don't care. I'm just all week. It's going to be roses. You grab your camera, you get outside, and you go for a walk. Okay. So this could be exercise too. This could be multitasking, really. So I go out, I go for a walk. I see some roses. Now don't trample all over everybody else's yard, but hey, if the neighbor happens to be out and says, hey, can I come take pictures of your roses? Oh, yeah, sure. Come on over. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, thanks. I'll send you some pictures via email. What's your email? Da, 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 da. You can develop relationships from this. You can now get a themed photo, and it gives you opportunities to shoot the same subject multiple times in many different shots until you get the shot you want. Review each, and with the theme project, you shoot the same subject at a minimum 5 shots, at a minimum. At different angles, different lengths on the lens, different lighting if you can produce different lighting. And then you do at least 5 different shots. And each shot you try to improve on the previous shot. And that's a themed photo project. And you do that for the entire week. All 7 days. You go out there and you at least make that attempt of 5 photos on at least one subject someplace. Bring those all back to your computer, put them on your computer, and you pick the best one of each subject. You pull that down into another folder, and then you can then create a collage. You could make a themed print, do little 8x10s or 5x7s, put them in a frame, maybe find a frame that's like 5 across or 7 across, and put the best shot of each one in. And then you put them in there, and then you put it up on the wall. And then when you walk by it every day, you look at that and you remember how you felt when you took that shot or that particular shot of that subject. It's an amazing feeling. And it empowers you to do it again, or it should anyway. If you want to do people, I'm only going to shoot blondes for the next week. Well, walk down to the mall, walk down the street, talk to people, meet people, try not to be too creepy about it, whether you're a guy or girl, but just have fun with it, And, hey, can I take your picture? Just stand right here. I got to take 5 pictures of you, and I'm just going to do this kind of portrait thing. I'm just trying to learn portraiture or whatever. And you do your theme, and just keep it private to yourself. Put it on your wall, whatever. But every time you do that 7-picture across, you just reuse that frame. Take the pictures out from the last theme, put the new pictures in. And then every time you walk by it, remember how you feel. Another one, directed experiments, directed experimentation. Get on some of these photo sites that offer assignments and stuff. That is directed experimentation. I want you to shoot everything with orange in it this week. I want your best orange shot, okay? It's an experiment. I got to find something orange. I got to take a good shot of it, and then I got to post it online, and I got to win the contest because I might win $50. Okay, great. That's directed experimentation, and that's an amazing process for learning, especially for art. A photo a week. What a wonderful idea. A 52-week project. Every week, you pick a subject and you go shoot it. Period. 1 a week. Do something different. Again, a minimum of 5 shots on those subjects so that you get multiple shots so you can see the difference, how the camera looks at the world in different ways. But photo a week, what a great thing. At the end of the year, you make a photo book. You take it to Shutterfly or Amazon or whoever does photo books, and you lay it out and go, well, this is week 1, this is week 2, this is week 3, this is week 4, this is week 5, all the way through 52. And then you build a photo book, and then you have something physical there, and then you can look through it every once in a while and go, oh, I remember that. Look how I came through, and by the end of the photo project, I was really shooting a lot better. Amazing technique to do. Amazing project to do to help you build that vision, that creative vision. Last but not least, tell a story with the photos. Look at what's going on around you in the world. I don't care where you are. News is happening everywhere, right? Maybe a train's coming by. Maybe the dogs are out chasing everybody. Maybe the mailman is delivering your mail and looking through your people, trying to figure out if you're home. Whatever. Go tell a story. Go take pictures that describe the events that are unfolding and make it a series of 5 to 10 pictures that you take. So you might have to take 20 or 30 pictures by the end of the day. But go tell a story. Oh, here's the mailman walking up to the mailbox. Here's him opening the mailbox. Oh, look, bees flew out. Here's the bees. Oh, and here he puts the mail in and he closes the mail lid and then he drives away. That's telling a story. That's so boring of a story, but it's telling a story. And that's how you tell a story with photos. You take each sequence and follow the path until you get from point A to point B. Tell a story. And that's a great project to do as well. So get out there, get shooting, develop that creative vision. Send me your photos for a review. I would love to see what you're doing. I really would. I would love to get a little bit more feedback from you guys. How do you like the show? So email me, thedigitalbabble@gmail.com. I'm going to try to have the live stream chat up just in case you want to chat. I'm not seeing anybody on here, so I'm just kind of, hey, everybody. And really just get out there and do it. Get out there and do it. So, real quick, I'm going to share this one image, and I'm going to do a little Photoshop into it because I really think it needs a little bit of work. Not too much, but a little bit of work. Here's Jakey. Jakey's on camera, except for he's a photo on camera. B took the shot. I loved it. I loved it so much. But, you know, there's just some photo elements that I really, really like to fix on it just because I want to make it more me. So I'm going to take Photoshop and play with it. Two things, real simple 2 edits. We're going to take and we're going to fix the contrast so that Jakey looks a little better. We might fix a little color. The color might be a little bit off too because all that bright light coming from the window, notice you can't see outside, is flooding light into the room, but the camera exposed for the shadow in front of Jakey. So Jakey came out nice and bright, but everything else kind of got wonky. So we'll try to fix that a little bit. And then I'm going to crop it because I really like Eyor and Jakey together. It's kind of cute. I kind of wish he would have nuzzled up to him, but hey, that's okay. He's a cat portrait with the Eyor there. You know, Eyor holding his trick-or-treat bag. So I'm going to take it into Photoshop and we're going to have some fun. So let's do a few things. I'm going to crop it. I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. I'm going to crop it so it's a little tighter crop. I'm going to take it. I'm going to fix the exposure and the contrast so Jakey looks proper again. That might make him a little too much. And then we're going to try to fix the color. If you notice this orange is really weak, and you notice here, Jakey's orange is really weak. So let's get moving. Boom. Into Photoshop. Here we go. All right. So we're going to crop it. I'm going to do a 10 by 10 crop because I think I want a 10 by 10 crop for some reason. So I'm going to put 10 inch by 10 inch, not 10 pixel by 10 pixel, because the last time I did that, it really goofed things up. So let's 10 inch by 10 inch. That gives us a proportion. So it's going to be an exact square, like so. Let's see. I'm thinking, no, we got to shore this up just a touch. Down just a touch right there. Okay, Eyor's eyes are looking at that PowerPoint. Jakey's kind of on the PowerPoint, not really good, but kind of. And we're going to crop it. So there's the crop. Done. Boom. Right? We got less than 2 minutes to finish this up and do the show. So let's do... we're going to do an adjustment layer, and we're going to do a curves adjustment layer, and I'm going to do medium contrast and maybe pump this up just a touch. Bring this down here and more darker here. That'd be a little too much, but it's got to be somewhat in there. All right, great. Get back down here. We're going to do another adjustment. We're going to do some levels, and we're going to take and brighten the midtones just ever so slightly. Not too much. Darken the shadows just a little bit, not much. And just give it a little bit here and there. Just push it a little, not much. Light little adjustments. And we're going to do some hue and saturation because I really want the oranges to pop off the page. So there's the orange there, but Jakey's still a little bit not quite where I want him. Let's play around with the slider just a little bit. Yeah, right about there would be good. Maybe just a touch more. Maybe if yeah, that'll work. That'll work. Pop the colors off the page. All right, there we go. We've got 1, 2, 3, right? So we're going to go Control-Alt-Shift-E to give me a clone stamp brush at the top. I'm going to take and run it through. I'm going to duplicate this layer, this now stamped layer, and then I'm going to go into Filter, and I'm going to go over to Other, and I'm going to go to High Pass, and I'm going to make my sharpening layer. I want to sharpen it, but I don't want to sharpen it too much, so probably about 3 or 4. How about 3.5? 3.5 sounds good. Okay, so now this High Pass layer, we changed the blend version, or blend, what would it, blending type? I don't know. To a soft light, and you'll notice that they're now sharper. I'll take off the sharpness, and I'll add the sharpness. I'll take off the sharpness, add the sharpness. You'll see a slight difference, but by the end of the day, it works. So now I'm going to file and save it, and because that's all the time we got, so we got to save it here. So save as a JPEG, and we hit save, and okay, I want to replace it. Goodbye, here you go. And we're going to flip back over to image. Here's the original image, and now here is the new image. Totally different, right? A little more color. Eeyore looks bluer. The orange looks oranger. The sharpness is there. Jakey's almost looking right. So you can see that the color for Jakey's coming out. You see the color for Eeyore is coming out. You can almost see the curve of the hat here. You still got the overexposure of the window, but that's okay. I'll take it. And there you have it. So real quick in Photoshop, correcting a little bit of photo stuffy, I guess. Wow, that's weird. I don't know what I was just saying. So that's it for this week's show. So every week, it's the Digital Babble, 7 p.m. I'm your host, Flipper. I can be a little weird. I can be a little serious. I can be whatever. But it's all about Photoshop, and it's all about photography, learning different things. This week, it was all about creative vision. Make sure on YouTube or wherever you're watching this video, hit the like button, hit the share button, get this to other people. Maybe other people will enjoy it. Get the word out, please. Help us. Send in your photos. Send us comments. thedigitalbabble@gmail.com. Go check us out at our website. It's tdbny.com. And you can check it out and check out any of the previous shows all the way back to show number 1. So it's all up there, the entire archive. So go have fun. Check it out. And as I say every week, I will catch you on the flip side.
A Flipside Studio production. It's the Digital Babble. Tune in every Wednesday at 7 p.m. on fingerlakes1.com. Check us out on Facebook and Twitter.